Well, we're going to be talking to Dr. Ginger coming up after the break. She is a nationally known author and motivational speaker, and she's the director, she was the director of corporate wellness for Bruton Smith's Sonic Automotive and Speedway Motorsports, and she was also the spa director for Donald Trump at his private club in Palm Beach, Florida. She's written a couple chapters and a couple of best-selling books, both New York Times, Crazy, Sexy Cancer Survivor. She wrote a chapter there, and then she also wrote a chapter and a contribution for a section on artificial sweeteners, and then this latest bestseller, Crazy, Sexy Diet, #1 on Amazon, of all things. So she's really active. She loves water sports and rock climbing and everything else, and she actually climbed Mount McKinley. Can you believe that? So in addition to everything else, she's Mrs. Virginia U.S. 2013, and we're going to have her on after the break, so stay tuned. Going to be talking about green juice and green smoothies and all the kind of cool stuff. Wow. You know, it's all about personal responsibility and taking care of ourselves and making us healthy. Kids always tease me, Dad, big and strong? Yeah, big and strong.
Start your day off right. Catch the sunrise on KCMX AM 880. Sunrise, where it matters what you... A little bold, extremely fun. It's Sunrise with Craig Fronin right here on KCMX AM 880. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes. We want to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or go to kcmxam.com. Join in the conversation by calling 541-772-8255. Sunrise, where it matters what you think.
Good morning, welcome back. 6 minutes after the hour, and glad you're with us this morning. The Sunrise Show right here on KCMX News Talk 880, world headquarters in Medford, Oregon. And so thrilled to have with us on the phone Dr. Ginger Herbert, and she's calling from North Carolina. She has written books. She has been featured on Outdoor Life Network and ABC's Wild World of Sports, and of course, very active in the world, written a couple of books. We talked about this earlier in the show. She's written chapters on nutrition and mind-body chapters. She's been featured on Charlotte's Fox News Rising at Dr. Ginger's Kitchen, and she's very active, water sports, rock climbing, rappelling, mountain biking, and really big on health. You can check out her website at drginger.com. That's drginger.com. And, of course, she also is the reigning Mrs. Virginia U.S. 2013. And we're so thrilled to have her on the phone. Ginger, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. You all get up early over there, don't you?
The early bird gets the worm, right?
Yeah, well, you got to keep up with the rest of the world, I guess.
I guess so. I guess so. So in one of your recent books, No More Than Your Doctor, about the healing power of green juices. And
you got it.
Yeah, and we've green smoothies are kind of for a lot of us locally, we've had a lot of exposure to that. And of course, the green smoothie versus the green juice, what folks are going to ask right away is what's the difference and whether or not that's actually the juicing. And you say...
You know, there is a difference, and I do both. I just happen to write my book on the juicing, but smoothies are an awesome thing for the body as well. But there are different medicinal reasons for using each if you have a certain health challenge.
Right. So I guess explain to our listeners, because the looks, of course, is kind of interesting. And in a green smoothie, I know that bananas and kiwis go in there along with the kale and the spinach or the lettuce or whatever else. It's just so good for us. I mean, we had Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn in. He said, as many green leafy vegetables as you can on a daily
Absolutely.
basis. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. This is the thing that a lot of people miss, and this is kind of the little phrase that I always tell people. Eat your fruit and juice your veggies. Because if you juice your fruit, it's fruit juice. Now, when you put it in a smoothie in a blender, it's a little different because the fiber does stay there and you drink the fiber, and that slows down kind of that blood sugar rush that occurs. But when you're making a juice with a juicer, where you're extracting the organic, highly absorbable nutrients, you don't want fruit sugar. And so I always say juice your veggies, juice your greens, because that's just a shot of liquid nutrition. It will stabilize your blood sugar. And you know, juicing really started with helping people such as cancer patients or maybe AIDS patients or patients whose bodies weren't able to absorb nutrients because they were so sick. It was used as a shot of nutrition in the arm because it's so absorbable, because you pull the nutrients out of the fiber. Now, a smoothie, on the other hand, takes a little more work for the body, but it's just very, very good for you. But it's really good for people with high cholesterol because fiber is a cholesterol magnet. So if someone comes to me and has high cholesterol, of course, I'd love for them to juice, but the staple of their program should be smoothies, green smoothies, and not a whole lot of fruit.
Interesting. And it's interesting how the body processes all of that. And of course, immediately you must have just been reeling related to this whole New York sugary drink law. And when you see these soda pop commercials, and we were talking about this earlier on the show, is how can you honeycoat the fact that for every 12-ounce soda, there is 8 teaspoons of sugar in it?
Oh, sure. No, there's no doubt that those are terrible for you. But it really comes down to education. We have to unbrainwash and re-educate the public on these processed foods that are out there, because just because they are sold to us does not mean they're healthy, and does not mean they're not going to, in the long term, put an end to your life. Because if that's what you eat every day for decades and decades, then that is what is going to happen. That's
right. And we had one of the nutritionists on the show, and she said, food isn't food anymore. You've got to read the labels.
Well, you know what? Let's not even buy a whole lot of food with labels. Let's just buy real food.
That's
Rich
it.
Veggies, nuts, and seeds in their natural, organic form, and don't process them. Don't cook them heavily, if at all. I'm a raw food vegan, and I can't tell you the difference night and day that I feel from when I used to eat, all the things that you grow up with, until I kind of learned the real way to eat and to stay healthy. I can't tell you the difference between the way I feel between now and then. It's night and day.
Well, and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn talked about that, and the raw foods and what that does, and the heat that changes the food.
Yeah.
So, of course, we've all fallen, the American diet is what it is, and, of course, we've fallen victim to the marketing, and I drive by in the morning, and there's cars lined up at the McDonald's drive-thru.
Oh, sure.
And once again, it boils down to education and, what are you going to do with your life? Because if you're going to feel better, feeling good about yourself is key. And you mentioned you don't drink coffee at all.
No, I don't. I never liked the smell of coffee, and I know a lot of people love the smell, but I just don't happen not to like the smell. So I never tasted it. But, coffee's very acidic. Most of it is sprayed so heavily with chemicals. And, it's, like I said, it's very acidic. Caffeine is a drug, whether you want to believe it or not.
It is,
and so I stay away from all of that.
So caffeine, it's kind of a overblown drug, if you would, but isn't it like the number 2? Coffee, isn't it like the number 2 or 3 traded commodity in the world, right behind gold and oil?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's good for you.
Well, that's exactly right. So the acidity, the alkaline levels, one of our local doctors, wonderful, Dr. Mibin Donato, has talked about, we are, alkaline creatures, and it's the acidity in our body that will either, he said, what did he say? Diseases cannot thrive. They're acidic. They do thrive in an acidic.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's why you want your body to be as alkaline, not as alkaline as possible, because when you get too alkaline, which most people can never get, that's not good either. But just over, remember in high school chemistry, we learned the pH scale goes from 0 to 14. 7 is neutral. the numbers below 7 are acidic, the numbers above 7 were alkaline. Well, your body likes to be right at that neutral, but just slightly alkaline. Unfortunately, coffee, sodas, fried foods, animal products, all those processed foods, stress, just kind of the American lifestyle that we lead keeps our body in that acidic state. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds lean more towards the alkaline side, and green juices are very alkaline. And so you kind of need to place your food on that scale whenever you eat and decide, okay, at the end of the day, kind of like a checkbook, was the balance of my day more on the alkaline side or more on the acidic side? And if it's on the more acidic side and you do that every day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, that sets your body up kind of for your weakest link. So, we talk about genes and people, it runs in my family. Well, no, it might run in your family, but you can turn those genes on and off by your lifestyle. So if your weakest link is heart disease, which is the case in my family, and I ate an acidic diet, then I'm setting myself up for that gene to be turned on. But I'm never going to have that problem because I don't eat like that. And my diet is on the alkaline side, and so I'm not turning that gene on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's amazing how much acidic foods there are, versus the alkaline and the balance. And you think, why don't we get this education? It's so simple with the pH.
It is.
And why don't we get that? Even teaching, I always tease as far as teenagers in high school, why aren't they teaching them how to balance a checkbook? They simply aren't. They don't have that talent of balancing a checkbook. It would think how far they could go with the talents of balancing a checkbook and knowing the pH scale. So
it really is easy, and really, if you forget about everything that you know about nutrition and just start using common sense, there's that saying. I think Jack LaLanne. Remember, he's like 98 years old. He was a big juicer guy. I think his comment was, "If man made it, don't eat it," because once man starts manipulating food, it's to create a longer shelf life or put chemicals in it to make you eat more. It's not for your health. So keep to nature's foods as much as you can, and eat less man food.
That's right. Man food. I love that. Dr. Ginger, we've got a quick little break. I want to keep you on, but I want to talk about protein and calcium in the natural foods, because the first time that folks, the first thing they'd ask with when you say, I'm not eating meat, I'm not drinking milk, they go, oh no, where are you getting your protein and where are you getting your milk, right?
Oh, I hear that all the time.
I know it. Well, let's talk about when we come right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Dr. Ginger on the show with us, nationally recognized health expert, and you can go to our website, drginger.com, and you won't want to miss this next segment. Stay tuned. It's the KCMX show right here. Back in a moment.
And leaving me alone. She knows a woman's place. It's right there now in her home. I got a woman way over town.
Stay tuned. Sunrise will return in a moment on KCMX News Talk 880. A little bold and extremely fun, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on KCMX AM 880. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes. Here's Craig.
Good morning, welcome back. 18 minutes after the hour, that's Trouble in Paradise. Could be Trouble in Paradise if you're a McDonald's fan and you're listening to the show and we're talking about green juice and green smoothies and you're looking at your cheesy Big Mac and you're wondering what it's made of. Sorry, folks. Going into your veins, going into your heart, going into your bloodstream. Not good for you. Not good for you. Well, we have Dr. Ginger on the phone with us this morning, and we're talking about green juice, and she's written some... she's helped write some national bestsellers on the New York Times bestsellers list, and she is the reigning Mrs. Virginia U.S. 2013. And you can find her drginger.com. And, she's written this recent book, No More Than Your Doctor, about the healing power of green juices. And it talks about, of course, pH level and the alkaline level of our bodies. But one of the basics that folks have fears about is the issue of calcium and protein in our bodies. Dr. Ginger, tell us what do you find, what do you see when you hear that?
Well, the protein thing makes me cringe because I think people just don't understand the basics of protein. Green juices and green vegetables and fruits and vegetables all have protein in them. As a matter of fact, when you're juicing, you're getting amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein, in a highly, highly absorbable format versus, the steak you cook or something where once you start cooking it, it starts cooking the life out of it, as well as vegetables when you start cooking them. Cooks the enzymes, cooks the nutrients, destroys the protein. So when you consume these raw juices, you're getting the building blocks of protein, the amino acids, in such a great form that your body just, slurps it up. So, the issue with not getting enough protein, that's a myth. Americans eat way too much protein, and it creates a highly acidic situation in the body. And so, that's just a myth that people try to perpetuate. The other thing is the calcium, magnesium, and all the other alkaline minerals that are found in the fruits and veggies, and in particular the greens, when you green juice and do green smoothies, will build your bones versus the myth, again, another myth, with cow's milk, which is very acidic.
Right.
And what happens when your body's acidic, okay, this is a very simple way to explain this, but I think it kind of lends to understanding. When your body's acidic, it's like your body's on fire and it says, put this fire out, I'm on fire. And so it searches the bloodstream for something alkaline to put the fire out. Well, if you're not consuming, greens and fruits and vegetables and lots of alkaline foods, you don't have anything in your bloodstream for it to draw from. So it says, okay, the next place I'm going to go to the teeth, the jawbone, and the other bones in the body because there's lots of alkaline minerals in bones. And it starts tearing down your body to deal with the acid environment that it has. So you're actually tearing down your bones and your teeth when you're consuming the standard American diet, which includes cow's milk, and all the other things, coffees and all the other things that we consume, versus when you drink green juice, it's alkaline, so you're not creating that environment, and you're giving the body the calcium and magnesium in the bloodstream to be utilized.
Wow, so the more acidic foods you're eating, the more the body fights it, and the more the body takes away the alkaline and the calcium out of your bones?
Yeah, it has to find a way to kind of balance because it wants to get back up to that, 7.35, 7.40 alkaline state. But if your body's down in the 6s, it's got to figure out a way to do that if you're not doing it for it.
Yeah, so osteoporosis is which is huge in our society. Once again, not enough alkaline-based foods. Now, what about folks if they don't have a juicer? What can they do related to that? They've got to buy one, or
they're fairly inexpensive. You can find one for $50.
But there's a secret.
Stores,
but there's the best favorite one you've got. I know.
Well, I have 5 different juicers, so I'm probably not the one to ask. But you know what? I want people to get started. You can start. You can do smoothies and green smoothies. That's fine. If you want to start doing juicing, just buy one that you can afford. And the cheaper ones, depending on the models that you get, the cheaper ones, the motor can burn out quicker. That's the thing. So but if you're doing it enough, then you're going to eventually want to buy one. You're going to want to invest in one that's a better model. So just get one that you can afford and start juicing. If you absolutely can't get a juicer, then start doing green smoothies.
Right.
But try to keep it more green than fruit in the smoothies. Even though the fiber is there, just eat your fruit whole.
Yeah, so eat the fruit whole and juice the vegetables.
Eat your fruit, juice your veggies.
There you go. All right. Well, that it's really, of course, the whole issue of alkalinity and acid. And once again, we talked about this. Disease builds in an acidic base, right?
It sure does.
And diseased cells cannot exist in an alkaline base.
Correct.
So the higher level of alkaline,
work on getting your body in the alkaline direction. Every time you sit down and eat, analyze the food and say, okay, what's the balance of this food? Is it fries, and red meats and a soda? Well, clearly that's acidic. But, start off simple. If you're not ready to give up a lot of that, and I kind of try to baby step people, well, let's pick one meal a day that's all like real food. unprocessed real food. And,
Wow.
and just start there. Start one meal a day. And the more educated you become, the more you're going to want to do it. And the more you do it, the better you're going to feel. I have no temptations whatsoever on going back and eating anything I grew up eating. I just don't, because the food that I eat is so good and so tasty and makes me feel so good. And I know the difference between how I felt then and how I feel now.
Right. You don't even crave that.
Not at all.
And the whole diet process, that's a whole nother conversation. But, one of the things, interestingly enough, we've got this GMO free Jackson County .org, and they've folks have been pretty upset with not labeling. It kind of started in California, not labeling the foods properly. And then we've had this Monsanto group that's been here, and the whole seed, sugar beet issue. What do you hear or see or sense on GMO products?
It's growing, and if we don't get the public behind this to put a stop to some of this, we're not going to have real food to even grow ourselves at home, because they're really trying to take over the seeds and take over everything. Our food is our way of survival and surviving for a long time and being happy and healthy. But if large companies start manipulating the food, again, Jacqueline was right. If man made it, don't eat it. Stay away from all of that. But we've got to take a stand. We've got to put an end to it. The United States is probably one of the worst for this kind of takeover. There are other countries that are banning it, but we really need to stand up to it. So I hope you all out there do that.
Very good, very good. One of the things that you and your husband have done, and Doug Herbert, top fuel drag racer in the country, has started the B.R.A.K.E.S Foundation. Explain to us the B.R.A.K.E.S Foundation and what's going on. You mentioned it's been in 28 states, but it hasn't been out in Oregon.
It hasn't. I'd love to come out there and meet everyone out there and bring the program. B.R.A.K.E.S stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe, and it's a teenager safe driving program that we started 5 years ago. My husband's 2 sons were killed in a car accident, and the oldest, was driving, I guess, recklessly, hit a Hummer head on, and they were killed instantly. And as you can imagine, that just
horrific. Can't even imagine.
sent our world into turmoil. But immediately my husband knew he had to do something so that other families wouldn't go through the same thing. And what we discovered as we were kind of trying to put this program together to teach kids things that they don't learn in driver's ed, or how to control a car in a spin or a wet road. When the wheel drops off the road, you don't jerk it back on the road, because you could hit the car coming onto you. You take your foot off the gas and you slowly just ease the car back on the road. There's things that you just don't learn in driver's ed. And so within literally days of the accident, my husband met with the kids at the school and said, we have to do something about this. The kids in John's school came up with the name B.R.A.K.E.S, which stands for Be Responsible, Keep Everyone Safe, and it's put on the B.R.A.K.E.S.org is the website. We put on driving schools all over the country. At the end of this year, we will have put 10,000 teenagers through the school in 28 states. We just got back a couple months ago. We went over to Alaska. So we're really, this thing is growing, and Kia just signed on as a car manufacturer.
I mentioned that, yes.
Yeah. They're going to give us fleets of cars, one for the West Coast, one for the East Coast.
Very cool.
In 5 years, we just can't believe how much it's grown, but we're not in Oregon yet, so let's try to figure out how to bring it there.
Let's do that so much. Ginger, our segment is running out, but I so enjoyed your time, and maybe let's do this again.
I would love to.
Yeah, let's.
There's a lot to talk about to get people healthy.
That's exactly right. Dr. Ginger Herbert, ladies and gentlemen, you can find her at drginger.com. She's real heavy on tweeting as well. And, of course, this B.R.A.K.E.S Foundation, I want to explore that some more. I've got teen drivers, so, we've definitely got to do what we can do to keep our young kids safe. So, Dr. Ginger, thank you so much for your time this morning. And I'm going to check out some way to get juiced. We've been doing the green smoothie thing, but green juices. Eat your fruits.
Eat your fruit, juice your veggies, and overall, just go eat your greens.
All right. Dr. Ginger, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll take us to the break. KDRV News Watch 12 is coming up with news and weather, and we'll be back.
Stay tuned. Sunrise will return in a moment on KCMX News Talk 880.